prepare for the next segment of the show.
Who's that man in the fancy shirt? Who's the man with the cheeky smirk? Who has the answers? Who can explain? Well, it's Enzo the science guy. Enzo the science guy. Ask him how, ask him why. Enzo the science guy. He's Enzo the science guy.
I still like that. All right. Do you want me to add that in now, Enzo?
Sure. We can add that in now. Turns out that this June 3rd and 4th, in the early morning, just before sunrise, no matter where you live on the earth, you're going to see this interesting alignment of planets just before sunrise, where you'll be able to see it now. Without binoculars or telescope, you will certainly be able to pick out Jupiter, Mercury, late crescent moon, Mars, and a little further up, Saturn. And it just happens to be that Neptune and Uranus will also be in that lineup, but they're so far out and so small and dim, you can't really see that with the naked eye. But it'll still look cool if you want to wake up a little early that morning and peer out your window to see that.
That's pretty awesome. I will have a look at that because I missed out seeing the pretty lights and the pretty lights, the purpley
the Aurora Borealis.
Thank you. I missed out seeing
Aurora Australis.
Yes, I missed on that, but I did see other people's pretty pictures. But yeah, that one.
Another chance.
And for this one, I'm going to grab my little telescope that I purchased, which I still haven't used yet, and I'll go out and see. Right.
It's not just for spying on your neighbors. It's useful for spotting things in the sky. And if you have a decent pair of binoculars or a small telescope, and you're looking at like Jupiter, and you can certainly see the different bands that are on Jupiter. And my friend Jess, yeah. But you can see like the giant red spot they always talk about, and you can certainly see the rings on Saturn if you have a decent pair of binoculars and can hold your hands steady enough. Don't be afraid to lean them on the table or the hood of the car or something like that to get them to hold them steady. But just a cool alignment that you don't get to see very often, but we'll get that this year. And as far as the auroras, if you remember a few weeks ago when people all over the world were seeing amazing displays, very, much further down in the lower latitudes, that particular sunspot, is a group of sunspots that belched out all of that material directly at the Earth. It has since rotated around the sun, and usually those things like form up into big blobs and then they go down.
I know, Ian.
That's usually when I'm going to bed. I don't know what people are talking about waking up part, but I'm sleeping with the vampire down there in the corner. But that particular group of sunspots that was responsible for it last week was on the opposite side of the sun and belched out probably the largest thing that's almost been recorded. It's because it was on the opposite side of the sun. It was kind of hard to measure it because it was pointed away from us, but it was big enough that some like cursory other satellites that are like going to other planets, like going to Venus as a probe going over there, that were like caught up in the wake of it. It's like, whoa, that was a big one. Now, normally by the time they rotate around to the other side, they move around all the time and they're not all grouped up. It's now coming back around towards us. It's bigger than it was when it clobbered us a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So
does that mean there's going to be more lights?
Maybe. It all depends. It's one of those things that it's almost impossible to predict, but this particular group has been very, very active, as we, the whole planet saw a few weeks ago. and it's much larger than what it was, and it's since put off the biggest shot probably ever recorded. So yep, you don't have to go very far. If you live in a big city where there's a lot of light pollution, just hop in your car for like 20 minutes, head for the country somewhere outside of the city limits, and depending on where, like if you're in the northern hemisphere for like the northern lights, drive north of the city, so the city lights are at your back and you're looking towards the north so you can see them. Or if you're in the southern hemisphere and want to look at the Australis, the version of the aurora australis, drive to the south. Keep the lights to your back, so you'll be able to see them.
And anything else coming up this week?
Well, for the rest of this week, no, it's been pretty quiet. But this past week, several days ago,
oh yeah, that was awesome.
There was this big meteor that blasted over the western part of Spain and the northern part of Portugal, and then dumped off into the Atlantic Ocean. That a lot of people saw because it was like right around midnight.
It was so bright. It was
about 18th and 19th. I'm just going to let this play without the audio. But this is various different webcams and security cams. Look at this girl's face.
Yeah.
What?
That was beautiful, that one.
She's like, what? But it was a brilliant blue-green that lit up the entire sky for hundreds of miles. Look at that.
The one with the girl, I thought, oh, that's fake. Like, what have they done there?
Really
it was so beautifully. It was just so beautifully filmed.
It was perfectly framed in there. It was like perfectly, almost like it was staged, but it is absolutely real. That's like something you would see in a movie scene, when the giant meteors about to hit the earth.
Yeah. I'll remove that before I get a copyright like I did last time for the robots. Bloody buzzard. I know, Jessica. What's Dr. Deb saying? I went out overnight after the live when you discussed the aurora, Enzo. It was primarily red here that night, but I was so grateful to have learned about it and being able to see what I did. So thank you.
So glad you got to see it. Yeah. It was that particular bout for that night or two. There was a lot of red reported all over the world for that one, which is, I won't say that's rare for your average. Mostly it's greens. But the red means it was like super saturated and it was interacting with stuff in the upper atmosphere. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you got to see it.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, but whatever. It's just happening.
It's just the apocalypse again.
Yeah, it's just the apocalypse. Next thing it'll be
around every 12,500 years. It's time. Yeah,
it's time for us to go.